Okay, hi everybody. This is Yako from CompuGenius Programs. Today I'm with a very special guest. His name is Noa Calice, and he is the owner, creator, co-creator, along with his brother Liam, for the YouTube channel Blackthornprod. So, hi, and say hello.
Hey guys, it's cool to be here, and yeah, that's basically it. I am the creator of Blackthornprod, Noah.
Okay, so for those who don't know, why don't you just tell us a bit about yourself and your channel?
So I'm basically a YouTuber. Um, I make loads of videos on game dev. I do tons of tutorials, and I also do lots of devlogs where I kind of share my own journey and how I make my own games. So, for example, currently I'm sharing with everybody kind of on a weekly basis the creation process I'm going through to make my game, The Dread Whispers, which is basically a 2D platformer game. And so yeah, so that's basically why I do tutorials, devlogs on my YouTube channel, and another big chunk of my time is just spent making games, taking part in game jams. And with my brother Liam, we've also done two Udemy courses, made two entire Udemy courses where we basically teach, students, beginners how to, in the first course, how to make a top-down shooter game, and in the second, how to make a game from scratch for complete beginners. So yeah, we've done quite a lot, and I'm having a ton of fun doing all this.
Okay, so you do game development. How did you get started doing this?
How did I start? Well, I started by first of all, I discovered Constructs 2, which is basically this little 2D game engine. It's really neat, really awesome, and it enables you, yeah, to make 2D games basically. And you don't need to know how to program or anything. It's a pure drag and drop sort of interface. So that's it's really cool, and that's why I started using it first. So I made a kind of space invader clone game. Um, that was a lot of fun. But soon I discovered Unity a bit after that because I really wanted to make a 3D game at the time. I really was into 3D and Constructs 2 couldn't make anything 3D, any 3D games anyway. So I stumbled upon Unity, and there, I realized I had to learn how to program, and that was really tough because I was completely terrified of programming. I was much more of an artist, kind of animator, storyteller type of guy. That's what I really enjoy doing anyway, most of all. And so needing to know how to program in C sharp was pretty scary. Um, but yeah, basically, I discovered Unity. I really started making games in Unity because I wanted to make 3D things, and I made my very first game. I completed a game with my brother Liam when I was 16, so in October. It was our Halloween holiday. He was really good at programming because he had done lots of web development, web design. He's 2 years younger than me, so we're pretty close in age. And yeah, we just decided to make a game together. I would be doing all the art, animation, and stuff. He would be doing all the programming. And yeah, somehow we were able to complete a whole game in 3 weeks using Unity. And from then on, I've not looked back. I've just been making games all the time, and it's been a ton of fun. But yeah, so I started with Constructs 2, went on to Unity, and it's been great ever since. Before that, though, and kind of in between, I was also really into films. I really wanted to make 3D animated movies, like work at Pixar or DreamWorks and stuff. Um, but I quickly realized that my real passion did lie with games. I loved playing games. I loved making games. Before I was making small paper games, paper card games. I would just quickly draw a map and make my own Dungeons and Dragons adventures, all that stuff. I was really passionate about games, which is why I didn't really continue my very small movie making career, but quickly moved on to Unity, Construct 2, all that stuff.
Wow. And I noticed you said before that you completed your first game in 3 weeks. Now, I know that
Yeah,
recently, a few weeks ago, you actually did you took part in Bracky's 10-minute game challenge.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
how does when you were doing that, did you ever think about what a jump you were from making a full game in 3 weeks to making a complete game in 10 minutes?
Well, so the Brackeys challenge, which was really fun, he basically challenged, for those who don't know, he challenged loads of developers, yeah, to make a small game, whatever, in 10 minutes using Unity or whatever else. And so I did make a game in 10 minutes and I made a whole video about it, which was so much fun, but it wasn't really a complete game. So, like, it was just a prototype, really. The art was really ugly. There was no polish whatsoever, no main menu, no sound effects, none of that. So I wouldn't call it a complete game at all. It's really just a very quick little prototype. But like for sure, like 2 years ago, I would have never even been able to do that. It's just through like my experience making games. So I've got kind of like 2.5 years of experience making games, which isn't huge, but it's already something, and I'm really passionate about it. I've been spending every day almost in Unity doing stuff. But
Wow.
yeah, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago, I would have never been able to make a game in 10 minutes. That's just because I've been practicing so much, like programming a lot and making game prototypes and stuff.
Wow.
But
So you said that you started off with Construct 2 and then went straight into Unity, which means, but would you know any like basic, like actual regular programming, or do you only know game development?
so I went from Constructs 2, which was there was no programming required, no programming at all, which was great for artists like me who didn't want to learn how to program. Um, and then I did go to Unity, where the programming language you had to kind of learn and use to make games was C Sharp. There was also JavaScript and Python that you could use, but like most of the videos and tutorials in that were on C Sharp. So I went for C Sharp. But before that, I had hardly ever touched programming. Maybe I had done a little bit of HTML, which is really the huge basics. I think that's the one language that most people know anyway. But yeah, that was really all. So C Sharp was my first language that I had to kind of learn. At first, as I said, my brother Liam was handling all the programming, which was really cool because I could just focus on doing the things I liked most. So, arts, just game design, sounds, effects, and that. But then he kind of lost motivation a bit for game dev. He had schoolwork and he just had other things he wanted to do, really. But I still really wanted to make games. I still was completely in love with that whole world. And the only way I could do that was either find a programmer, but that's not easy at all. It's especially when you're a beginner and you're a kid,
Okay,
or
one second.
oh, phone.
Okay, that's my phone. Okay, go on.
uh, or or I had to learn how to program myself. And since I really didn't want to wait and like waste time looking for a program or anything, I just started looking at tutorials either on YouTube, like videos from Brackeys or Sebastian Lag, or the Unity website, which is also filled and still is filled with great tutorials. And yeah, bit by bit, I learned how to program on my own. It was far from easy. It was really tough, but I got there, and that was by looking at tutorials. But it's so important to apply everything that you learn from those tutorials to your own small game projects. That is the best way to learn, and that's the way I learned. If I had only watched tutorials over and over again, copying what instructors had told me, I don't think I would have really got far. It was really by taking, for example, the knowledge from one video and then putting it in my own game. That was really how I began to become a better programmer.
Wow. So, how long have you actually been developing?
So I started to develop. So I picked up Constructs 2 in 2015. So yeah, roughly 3.5 years ago, I would say. Then I made my very first game in Unity when I was 16 years old. So yeah, 2.5 years ago. So not long, but I really started learning how to program. So I think it was a month before I turned 17 years old. So that's when I made my very first game completely on my own. So I did all the art, all the programming, everything. And so yeah, that was when I was 17 basically. So 2 years ago.
Wow, that must have
Yeah,
been a pretty good birthday present that you finished it right before you turned 17.
yeah, really cool. I felt so accomplished. It was a really magical feeling to know that I had brought this whole little world to life. That felt quite amazing.
I would
And that
imagine.
was yeah, from then on, I was completely hooked to game dev. I said to myself, man, if I can make this little game that I'm sure I can keep improving my skills and make better and better games. So I really, with each new project I took on, I tried to make it a little bit more ambitious, or I tried getting out of my comfort zone and doing something a bit new. For example, my first game was a simple reflex kind of game where you moved a little soldier left and right and had to dodge like hazards that were falling from the sky.
Uh huh.
That's basically the game actually I show how to make in my Udemy course. But afterwards, I'd made a top-down shooter,
Hmm.
and I wanted to change complete gears afterwards, so I made I believe, a little kind of very mini world open like RPG. Then I created a tower defense game. So I was kind of trying to change what I was making to learn the most things possible, and also to have fun. If I start doing things over and over again and kind of stay in my comfort zone, I tend to not be too creative because I'm usually getting a bit bored. So yeah, that's my top priority, to find projects that I know I will learn from and that will be a lot of fun to make.
Uh huh. So, what is like one funny or interesting story that you have that you came up across while you were developing?
Oh, this I guess there's quite a few funny stories. Mm, some, let's say, funny but pretty uh, dark funny was when me losing all the progress on my game because I just didn't make a backup. That happened several times, especially in my very first year making games, where I would spend so much time working on my project, and then when I was almost finished, I might have accidentally deleted an important folder. For example, like the prefabs folder, I would just delete it accidentally, and then I couldn't undo that, and I didn't have any backup, so I was just like, shit, I've lost all my progress. I need to redo so much, which is bad.
Oh wow.
And that's, yeah, important lesson to everybody: make backups is so important.
That is so
Uh,
important. Although, if you were running on like Windows, and I think even Linux and Mac have this, there is a recycle bin. So even if you had actually deleted the folder, guys, I'm not saying
right?
rely on this, but if you accidentally just deleted it from the Unity, what do you call, Unity interface, you can go into
Yeah.
your recycle bin and restore it, guys. So.
Oh, well, maybe I should have known that before. I thought
Yes, it
that
says
that's
it will. It says that you'll not be able to get it back, but you could always go into the recycle bin on Windows and restore it. And most stuff, even if you delete a file from, let's say, the Windows File Explorer, you go into the recycle bin, you can restore it. Which is why, if you find that you have very little space, you should actually go to your recycle bin and start permanently deleting a lot of stuff because it never truly gets
yeah.
deleted unless you delete it from there.
Oh well, that's interesting to know. I didn't know that. Thank you.
So, yeah, sure. So, Ryoshi Ryoshi Hikari, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, asks, "What's your thought process when you actually come up with level designs?"
um, Hmm. I think a lot of playtesting goes in. So, well, usually when I'm making levels, for example, in my game that I'm currently working on called The Dreadful Whispers, it's a puzzle platformer game. So I need to make a lot of levels for it. I think there's more than 100 levels I've created now already. So that's a huge amount. So I've definitely been doing a lot of that. And my thought process, it's quite hard to put into words on the spot like this. I guess I'm just trying to think of, really what I do is I just put blocks randomly around. I put different platforms here and there, and it's just through playtesting and moving things around that I kind of see what works and what doesn't, what feels right. Also, if I have like a story to tell in my game, I try to make a certain level tell a bit of that story. Like I might make a level very vertical if I want the characters to have that feeling of going up and momentum. Um, so yeah, it's really just through playtesting and trying new little ideas here and there, and also with the story, I come up with levels, I think.
Aha. So besides deleting your not like having backup and stuff, what is the decision that you made while game developing that you actually now really regret?
That I regret. Um, hmm. I don't think. Yeah, there's not much I regret really in my, because even the mistakes that I've made, like big mistakes I've made, like losing my all my like progress because I deleted a file or didn't make a backup. or starting projects that were way too ambitious for my skill level, and quitting those games and stuff. I don't regret making those mistakes, because those mistakes taught me so much. They really, I think I've learned probably more from my mistakes and failures than I have from my successes, which is cool. So yeah, I don't regret that much. Maybe I regret sometimes working so hard and spending my whole day in front of the computer screen, instead of taking time to relax a bit and go outside and spend more time with family and friends. I think it's, yeah, silly to just work and burn out a bit. So maybe that's my regrets. And I'm fixing that. I'm spending a lot less time on the screen already, and I feel I'm a lot more creative because of that. But yeah, that's about it, really.
Aha. So, based on the decisions that you actually made that you're happy for, like what is one that you could actually remember that like stands out for you?
Of things that I'm really proud of. Is that it?
Yeah, decisions like decisions that you've made that like because of that it let's say became easier for you or like something really good happened stemmed from that, whatever. Like what's something that you are happy that you made the decision?
Uh, well, I'm really happy that I learned to finish what I started. Because I spent a big period of my life, just of my game dev life, starting projects, and just not finishing them, again, because either they were too ambitious, or even just because I started working on the game and I realized that my art was ugly or that my code was a complete mess. And so then I said to myself, oh, there's really no point in pursuing this. I'm just going to quit and start something new and fresh, and it'll all be good. But yeah, I'm really happy I got through that hurdle, and began finishing what I started. Even if the game is, I mean, you don't need to make something perfect or really polished or even very fun at first, because you won't. Usually, it's almost impossible to have your first game be a huge, beautiful success. So it's just so important to start a project, even if it's not that good. Just finish it. It's an amazing skill to have, and I'm so glad I was able to not give up before actually finishing something. Because so many people, I think, so many beginners, they get discouraged by the fact that they're constantly quitting their projects, um, and so they never get through that initial barrier, and they don't reach that those beautiful moments of finishing a game and sharing it with the world and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't stop at that point and continued to perfect my finishing skills. There's really so many things I'm happy I've done during my game dev life, but I think that's an important one. Also, of course, starting my YouTube channel. I'm so glad I did, because it's so great. Like, my YouTube channel has given me so much. For example, making videos has not only helped a lot of people and has given me this really cool audience and community, but I've also learned a ton making videos and tutorials. Because I don't know if you've heard this quote before. Like, teaching is a great way to learn yourself.
Yeah, in my culture um we have a saying that goes, "The best teachers are your own students."
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I guess
Ah,
that's yeah, because you're learning, I guess, right? So uh, you maybe learn, like, not what to do, or are able to explain better to them why it's not good what they're doing.
right. And then like
But
also you've been like they also help you in ways because I found in my own experience that when I'm working by myself, I let's say I would know it, let's say I don't know it, but like if I were to start teaching other people how to do it, I would put a lot more time and effort into actually getting it right, and also like my students or sometimes my viewers and stuff will actually help me find like the correct answer and solution, that type of thing.
right, yeah. Well, me, why I learned so much making my tutorials is because before making them, I was doing such a lot of research and testing out all kinds
Right,
of things on
exactly.
my own.
You
Yeah,
don't
and so
want to
that's
like
really,
you don't want to like appear bad in front of the viewers.
yeah. And so, and also, because I was getting all this positive feedback from my tutorials of people saying, "Man, your art is great," or "Thank you so much for this video. You're the best," or "You're such a great teacher," and that really gave me a lot of confidence. Even though when I started my YouTube channel, I was a complete beginner myself. Really, I didn't know that much. Um, but making these tutorials and building this audience really gave me that confidence to keep on learning. And yeah, it was just really good for my self-esteem. I think making this YouTube channel. Plus, it's given me an audience, and whenever I've released one of my games, I've been able to get lots of feedback. And getting feedback is such an amazing way to improve as a creator. Like before my YouTube channel, I made, I think, quite a few, like at least 7 games, I think, but nobody played them. Only my brother and a few friends, and so that was cool. But I wasn't getting much feedback really, so it's hard to really tell what you're doing wrong or what people like or don't like.
Right.
So all I heard was basically my brother saying what he liked and disliked, which is cool, but it's much better to have loads of people, tell you what they think of your creation. That's a great way to
Right.
discover
Criticism.
what's yeah
Criticism
yeah
is real. It builds you up. Criticism. It's like really really
it,
helpful.
it definitely does. Well, constructive criticism is great. Say the game, I don't think the game is good because blah blah blah. But if they just say the game is shit, period, then
Then exactly. Then
that isn't useful for anybody really.
right.
But for sure, like I've received some great feedback, both negative and positive, and yeah, usually I do learn more from the negative feedback. Though I might not like reading it, those like comments that say the game isn't really great because of this, those tend to really help me a lot for
Right.
sure.
Right. Okay. So like, when did you actually first like go on a computer and whatever? Like, actually like know what you were doing on a computer?
So I got my very first computer. My dad's bought when I was 13 years old, actually, which
Oh
I guess is
wait,
pretty
can you
late
repeat
for.
that? I think we cut out for a second.
When I was 13 years old, I got my very first computer.
Okay.
So that's pretty late. I think most children nowadays gets their computer maybe at 10, or I'm not sure, but anyway, it was 13. And so yeah, that was my very first steps into everything that's digital. I downloaded Autodesk Maya, which is a great 3D application that lets you model characters, animate them, texture them, all that.
Mhm.
And so with that software, I began making my own little blog. It was called Blackthornprod. And so there, yeah, I was just randomly talking about whatever I was doing that week of creative. So if I modeled a character, I would just make a little blog post saying, "Yay, I modeled this cool dragon character," or stuff. Obviously, nobody knew about that. Nobody looked except my mum. uh,
I'm
but
guessing she
it was
signed
a
up for like
cool.
3 accounts just to make it look like
Yeah, exactly. I think I made 2 accounts.
you
Look, I
made two
got five
accounts just
subscribers.
like comment on yourself.
Yeah, it's a milestone, guys. Uh, but yeah, it was cool. I had a lot of fun when I was 13. That was my first steps
Uh-huh.
into anything that digital and stuff.
Uh-huh. How did the name Blackthorn Prod, like, how did you get such a name?
So yeah, at first it was a little world I'd created. I was writing stories. That was even before that was when I was really like 11, 12, I think. I just drew big maps, like big fantasy worlds and stuff. I was playing a lot of Skyrim at the time, and I really wanted to make my own fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I called it Blackthorn, the world of Blackthorn. And yeah, that name just kind of carried on until now. I made my blog called Blackthorn Prod, and then my YouTube channel. When I started it, I didn't even really think about it much. I just said, yeah, okay, Blackthorn Prod, there we go. And yeah, now it's way too late to change it. I'm keeping this name. Um, but yeah, I kind of like it. It's even though it's quite hard to pronounce and is just a bit weird, not necessarily very game dev related or anything, but I still like how it's kind of weird and twisted and a bit dark, which kind of describes the games I like. I like dark, weird, twisted games usually. I like happy games too, of course, but I do like the weird things as well. So yeah, Blackthorn Prod does feel a bit strange
Uh-huh.
when you say it.
So about the you like a lot of video games. Like, what video games nowadays do you really like playing?
Ooh, there's so many, but recently I just bought my Nintendo Switch, and I'm just loving this console. It's amazing. I'm playing The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild on it.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure most of people have heard of that game. It's such an amazing open world adventure. There's such a huge sense of freedom. exploring that world. I'm in love with it. But I'm also playing quite a lot of Slay the Spire on my computer. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. It's a roguelike card game. Basically, you're kind of going up this big mountain kind of thing, battling monsters with a deck of cards. And every time you defeat monsters or open a chest, you can add cards to your deck and make it more powerful and create cool combos and stuff. So it's
Oh,
a
that's really
very
cool.
great game. I highly recommend it to anybody anybody watching this. It's really nice. So yeah, Slay the
So
Spire.
interestingly enough, I actually don't play video games at all.
Oh really? Oh no, no.
Yeah,
You don't have enough time, or is like what
what? Oh,
what's
no, no, no. It's not that I
what
don't have any
madness has
time.
taken?
It's not that I don't have any time. It's just that like I still do actually, and I sometimes go on it. I have the original Nintendo 3DS, and like
Oh,
I got a game for it. It was called Dragon Quest: Sentinels of the Starry Skies. It was
I think
this
I remember that game.
it was a JRPG, Japanese RPG. It was
Yeah, I
ba-
think my dad was playing it once, and I was just looking at it. I'm not
yeah,
sure, but
I really
maybe.
loved that game. It was like so cool for me. It was like, of course, I beat it like 7, 8 times, so eventually it kind of
Oh,
got boring. But like, but it was a really long game. So it's like unless you played it like 5 times, you wouldn't be able to beat it that quickly. So it kept you engaged, and it was really amazing for me. And then
nice.
I got a bunch of more video games, and I played a few of them on my Nintendo on my DS, right, 3DS, and then when I got a computer, I had a game, not my own computer. It was actually the family computer, and
Hmm.
when I first actually went on the computer, I believe it was actually because in my class, kids used to give out like word searches every like holiday and whatever related to the holiday, and I really loved it.
Right.
And then I would draw my own word searches, but everyone else's was so neat, and I didn't know why. I didn't even know what a concept of computer was. So I asked the kid, "How do you do it?" And he's like, "You put it on the computer." So I went over to my dad. I'm like, "Here, I drew a word search. Can you scan it into the computer?" I thought if you use a scanner, it makes it look neat. And then he's like, "No, no, no. You have to use the program Microsoft Word." And then I was instantly hooked. I love writing. I made a lot of novels. I typed up. I made a lot of word searches and stuff. And then a few years later, after I even got my 3DS, me and my brother got a game called Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, the Lego
Right.
video game, and that I played on my computer, and I loved it so much until I just started writing more and more of my book on my on Word. Just didn't play it anymore, and now I make games, and I like don't want to give time for myself to play video games. I just love making my own. So
Well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, if you're so, I mean, that was kind of me. I would say 2 years ago, where I kind of felt like I didn't have enough time to play games and make games, so I just made games instead. But now, luckily enough, I have lots of free time because I don't go to high school anymore. I finished that last year, thank goodness. And YouTube and your game dev is my full time job now. So
right.
I largely have enough time to spend a lot of time making games and videos, and I can also afford to play quite a bit of games because playing games also inspires me a lot. So I just love exploring another worlds created by some other really cool people. So yeah, it's always a really nice experience. Like Hollow Knight, for example, is one of my all-time favorite games, and it was just made by three people roughly. Actually, two people mainly, and then there's a few others like a really great musician and somebody that helped for marketing and stuff. But yeah, primordially, it's just a very small group of guys who made this masterpiece, and for me, that's just so inspiring because I say to myself, if they did it, there's really no reason why I can't make an amazing game too like that one day if I just keep on working and you'll keep on really enjoying that process.
Uh-huh. So that must have been really cool. So
Oh yeah, sure.
about then why don't you tell us about actually about the video game you're actually making now?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm really into that right now because yeah, this week I've been working a lot on that game. It's called The Dreadful Whispers. It's a 2D kind of puzzle platformer about you basically overcoming your fears and basically overcoming your fear and trying to I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, quieting that inner voice in your head that might tell you you're something or not pursue your dream. Um, all kind of about that. It's I've got a whole devlog series on my channel where I'm talking about what I'm doing, what I'm making every week. But yeah, I've almost finished the game now. I would say maybe in a month it will release. I think in a month it will release. Seeing the progress I'm making right now, which is really nice. But yeah, so I'm finishing up the end section of the game, and I'm thinking of making the release trailer very soon. So that's going to be this is basically my very first commercial little game that I'm making. Now I've only made free, very small free games. You can play them all on my itch.io account or even a few on Newgrounds. But yeah, usually most of my games I was spending 2 days to a week making them because tons of them were made during game jams, um, which for those who don't know are like kind of game dev events where like developers have to make a game around a given theme. I just love those. I've even hosted a few of my own, but yeah, most of my games were made in game jams, except a few like The Fire of Belief and He Almost Kills Me, which I think I made in roughly 3 months each. And those were larger projects, and yeah, I learned a ton making those. But yeah, this is really my first game that I think is good enough, and I think yeah is interesting enough to be sold. So I'm really excited to finish that game. I'm super happy with how it's turning out to be. It's looking great currently,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah,
So, what
I'm just really
inspired you to actually make it?
just I just think it's so interesting the kind of the battle we all face in our own minds really. Your like doubts and your fear. Like so many times I've been faced with wanting to do something, but kind of having that little inner voice telling me, no, you shouldn't do that, and giving me all these reasons why I shouldn't do it. Um, and that's really bad. You can't let your fears decide your fate. Um, so yeah, it was really just because I could relate to the story. I've lived through. I have a certain yeah. I think everybody faces doubt or fear at some point,
Right.
and I wanted to tell a story about that in a game definitely.
So, in my understanding, you actually made multiple games around this given theme of
Yeah,
overcoming your fear and doubt.
I'm quite passionate about that. I made The Fire of Belief, which was a top-down shooter game, a kind of a roguelike top-down shooter game that was set in the mines. Basically, you would control the little characters that would just go through this twisted dark mind, and you would have to fight off monsters that represented doubt, fear, negativity. So that was a lot of fun to create, and I loved making all these types of monsters, each one kind of about a bad thing that might be happening in your mind. And I made quite a few other games. Like a game I made about almost 2 years ago now was called The Enemies Within, and that was an FPS, a 3D FPS, also set in the human minds. And again, you'd just be fighting off doubts and fears and stuff. But this is, I guess, The Dreadful Whispers is is another one of those games, but it's better than those two by far.
I know I don't want to know like if I'm ruining too much or anything, but like what I gathered from the devlogs actually on your YouTube channel is that
Sure.
there are two quote unquote players in the game, and they have to actually help each other overcome the
Yeah.
doubt.
So yeah, so basically this game is really single player. In one part of the game, so in kind of the first part of the game, like you will be controlling two characters. So you'll be basically pressing W on your keyboards to switch between the characters. But yeah, this game like it can't be played with two people. It's not meant to be played at two.
Right,
It's
I
really
didn't necessarily meant two people, I meant two like characters in the game.
yeah, sure. There are two characters in the first part
Right, and from like
character.
I don't know whether you did this intentionally, but it somewhat reminds me of the best way to overcome your own fear and doubt is to actually relate to a friend and whatever, and it actually
So
helps.
I'm not going to say no to that because you're not playing the game, spoil anything. But um, it's really You'll see when you play the game. I can't say anything.
Oh
uh,
boy. Well.
you'll see. But I'm just so excited to get feedback and you'll just get to hear what people are going to think of this game. I've put a lot of work in it. This project has had loads of ups and downs, and I think that happens with all long type of kind of long projects. I've not worked on that many long projects, but this one here I've been working on it for I would say 3 months and a half now. And so yeah, there's always going to be down points where you feel like kind of you're starting fresh and quitting the game that project and starting something new. Or there's going to be moments where all the arts and feels ugly and you want to change it all again. But yeah, I'm just happy that I went through all that and I'm building something pretty cool now.
Aha.
But yeah, so even if people don't like the game, which I hope not. I think people are going to like it, but still, it's been a crazy learning experience, and I've had a lot of fun making it. Generally, it's been a cool time.
So Lucazia asks, based on this topic of how are you actually going to do the marketing of the Dreadful Whispers? How are you planning on like releasing it to the world?
Well, I've already been doing kind of a lot of marketing, devlog, by telling people, every week the progress of my game. I've kind of been building up a nice following of people, which is really cool. Um, And that's why, again, I started my YouTube channel. That was a main reason I wanted to start my channel, was to have people know about Blackthornprod, know about me and my games, and yeah, so I wouldn't just release something and have like absolutely nobody know about it. So thanks to my really cool community and these devlogs I've been uploading quite regularly and stuff, I do already have an audience that is ready to get the game when it comes out, which is nice.
Do you
And
plan
so
on like putting out ads or whatever, like on YouTube and whatever, or just like
Uh, for now, I really don't think I'm going to do more. That my
s-
YouTube channel
what?
is kind of
You're
enough
gonna
for
you cut out for a second. You're not gonna do more than what?
So yeah, I'm not going to do more marketing than that for this channel in itself, and these devlogs I've been doing is kind of been good marketing enough. And I hope that if the game is good, then your people will talk about it, and there'll be let's players maybe and some streamers playing it, and the game will kind of grow from there.
Uh huh.
Maybe I'm going to be launching the game on itch.io for €5. I'm not going to be putting it on Steam, not yet anyway. itch.io seems perfect for now. It's just a really great platform, so I'll be putting it there. But hopefully, if the game is really good, then itch.io you'll also put it on the front page maybe for a short. That might give me more sales too.
Okay,
But
so like you cut out for a slight bit, so let me just recap what you might have said so our viewers
sure.
can hear. So you said that let me just verify also that you don't think that you're going to do too much more marketing than just a YouTube channel because you have a major community and whatever, and that you plan on releasing it to itch.io and that hopefully it'll be on the front page, but not Steam currently.
Yeah, that's basically it. I just with my audience that I've built up, I already have that. Those quite a few people that are ready to get the game when it comes out.
Uh huh.
And with if the game is great or if people do like it, then hopefully they'll say so, and hopefully they'll give the game some good ratings and good comments and stuff.
Right.
And H.io might pick up on that and say, yeah, awesome, let's try out this game. And if they like it, then they'll maybe put it in the front page too. And so that way, I'll get more sales, and let players will play it, and a few streamers here and there. So yeah, it's just really cool. I hope people like it. I think that if the game is good with the audience I have, then it's going to kind of grow on its own. I don't need to put that much effort on marketing. I don't think I'm gonna need to put lots of ads or anything.
Right.
Um, just I've got enough. Like I've got a few thousand people that are ready to get the game, or at least you'll like see they'll be interested in it anyway. I'm not sure if
Right.
everybody will buy it, but they'll be interested in it. And if yeah the reviews are good, then more and more people will get it.
Right. So what build platforms are you actually putting this out on?
It's going to be on Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Okay, so it's not gonna be like mobile or PS4 or whatever that type of thing.
No, no, no. Yeah, just for now, those are the platforms I'm aiming at. Maybe Nintendo Switch. That could be really fun. I would love to see the game on that console since I'm really loving it right now. But yeah, that's not sure.
Aha. Okay. So Now, what is your favorite pastime besides game development and playing video games?
Um, None. Just kidding. uh, no, I.
What? You cut out.
Oh, sorry. I really like reading books. Um, like I'm currently reading Game of Thrones, but
Uh huh.
the books basically that inspires the TV show. I'm really enjoying that and getting hyped for season 8. It's coming out in 3 days. Uh, and yeah, I've got obviously I like doing some sports, running and doing like swimming, hanging out with my friends, my brother too, just playing games with them, but also um, yeah, just talking and watching movies, that kind of stuff. But my main passions are obviously game dev and playing games. But I also really like reading and going outside. I would love to travel the world one day. Quite frankly, I would just absolutely love traveling the world, just gaining lots of cool experiences, meeting new people, and discovering different cultures. And that's something I hope to do one day, and I definitely one day. Maybe soon. I think I would like to do it when I'm really young to fully enjoy that. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so now we're gonna hit the few questions related to people just starting out.
Okay.
Okay, so
I've got 15 more minutes, right?
right, that's about how much it's gonna take anyway. Okay,
Cool.
so what do you do when you hit quote unquote writer's block? Like when you have no
Uh,
ideas left, you're just clean.
that's usually I usually reach that point when I'm. So the best thing to do there is just take breaks.
You
Whenever
usually reach that point what?
when I'm burnt out.
Uh
So
huh.
like usually when I don't have any idea or like nothing's coming to my mind, that's because I've been just working way too much and I've just been on the computer for way too many hours at a time. And so just taking a break off the computer, like going outside or just spending a whole day, or even a week off the computer, usually I come back feeling refreshed and like very inspired. Um, so that's usually what helps me anyway overcome that kind of quote unquote writer's block, creative block sort of thing. But
Right.
sometimes it's just I just need to play a game, for example, that will give me ideas. Like a game that I really love, like Spelunky or Hollow Knight or Breath of the Wild. Like playing those games usually really inspires me, and I say, "Man, that's awesome! Maybe I can make something similar." And then ideas start popping in my mind. Or yeah, just watch a movie or listen to great music or stuff. All these things, all these other. If I'm consuming other great like arts and stuff, that can help me overcome that creative block and get inspired again.
So
Those are
like
my.
when you're actually doing game development, how do you keep yourself like motivated enough to like
Mhm.
keep going? Like when you're feeling down.
Well, already I have my YouTube channel, which is a very motivating because I got this audience, people expecting me to make things, and they like what I do, and I'm helping them out, and just knowing that I'm helping other people and that I'm inspiring other people is a huge motivation boost for me. Um, but otherwise, just I enjoy what I'm doing so much that sometimes I don't really need motivation to do it. I just do it because I like doing it. But yeah, for sure, there are times where I don't feel like working. Um,
And during
and
those times, how do you get yourself to be motivated?
so sometimes I just really don't feel like working at all. And so then usually a little break just is the best thing to do. Sometimes it's not good to force yourself too much to work if you're really not feeling it. But sometimes you're just lazy, which sometimes I've definitely felt like I'm just procrastinating. I'm just very lazy. And so what I do to kind of get back on track is yeah, just I just listen to great music and I create while listening to music, and that kind of helps me get
Right.
back into in the swing of things.
Right.
Um,
So definitely a big community egging you on is motivating and definitely taking breaks can give you ideas for sure. So
yeah, that's it.
now for the last question and probably the most important one. What would
Mhm.
you say to someone who is just starting out and really wants to know what is the best thing for me to do?
There's so many things I would need to say here, but I might make a video on that. But in short, I think that the most important thing is to there's so many important things, but as I said before, you'll learn to finish what you start. It's so important to make very simple games at first. Don't think of a huge, crazy, ambitious ideas. Just make very small games and finish those because that's how you're going to build up that confidence and real passion for game dev. If you just keep quitting and making large projects and quitting those, you're going to quickly get discouraged and you might never get very far in game dev. So yeah, finish what you start, and also don't get discouraged. It's so important not to get discouraged if what you initially make looks like complete shit. Like I know that what I started making, and it's not even online anymore. You can't even see it. It was that bad, but it was just really. I was making crappy games. My art was horrible. There was full of bugs. So yeah, don't get discouraged by those initial poor results. Really, don't compare your work that you're currently making as a beginner to like masterpieces made by veterans who spent like dozens and dozens of years making games. It's just so important that you enjoy the process of what you do. That too is super important. Like enjoy what you do. Make sure that you're having fun working on games. Like aim to work on projects that you know you're going to be passionate and have fun, a lot of fun working on. So yeah, to recap, finish what you start. Don't get discouraged by what you make, which initially won't be very good unless you're a complete genius. But that's like one in a million. And also, what was the last one? Uh, what I said before again?
Okay. Um,
I've forgotten. But basically, yeah, just listen to that last thing. There you go. That's about it.
okay, so okay, everyone, that was Noa Calice from the channel of Blackthornprod. Of course, we'll be leaving
Yay!
links in the description. And goodbye, everyone.
All right. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Cheers.